So, I don't actually hate F.E.A.R 3. Let me explain. I pity Day One Studios. May they rest in peace now as just some cog in wargaming. Because F.E.A.R 3 was not an ideal game for a studio's first and only real big break. After years of producing middling budget shooters like Painkiller HD and Necrovision, they finally got to partner up with John Carpenter to try to rediscover what made F.E.A.R work. And they didn't. Oh goodness no, they didn't. F.E.A.R 3 is about as legitimately terrifying as your 12-year-old nephew in a wonderfully crafted Jason costume. Like, you can see how those ideas and presentation could potentially be scary, but they need a completely different approach, mindset, and conceptual idea to really work. And if F.E.A.R 2 was as unsubtle as Saw, then F.E.A.R 3 is like one of those Sci-Fi Channel original movies that one decent C-list actor ends up starring in because they need to pay off a car loan or something. But regardless, oh, do I love F.E.A.R 3. Unlike F.E.A.R 2, which spat in the face of the original game with all the pretentious air of a high school cheerleader, F.E.A.R 3 knows it's a mess. And it owns that messiness beautifully. It embraces it. F.E.A.R 3 isn't your classy friend you introduce everyone to. It's your train wreck drinking pal who you worry about at times, but somehow they just keep on walking effortlessly. It's boundless amounts of fun if you know what you're getting into, but it's not the game most will proudly declare a fondness for, to the point that you'll sometimes see people making excuses for why they have played it. Simply put, F.E.A.R 3 is what you get if you combine Killzone 3's cover shooting and co-op with Geist's possession mechanic. Now, make that one of the best party games for 4 players ever, and you've got F.E.A.R 3. The campaign is a cooperative tale of misery as previous protagonist Point Man and previous antagonist Paxton Fettel have to team up to take down their apocalyptic, psychic, undead, but somehow pregnant mother Alma. Because of course, that made sense to someone. While Point Man plays fairly like he always did, slow motion gun-fooing his way through Armacam and replicant baddies, but now with regenerating health and less weapons and a cover system, Paxton Fettel is where F.E.A.R 3 first tips its hand and demonstrates it does have ambition. Fettel is a spectral ghost who can levitate and possess enemies, effectively able to jump around the battlefield with impunity. He's like a hybrid of Mindjack and a Sith Lord who shoots lethal blasts out of his palm and can project a psychic shield over you as Point Man. You can even maintain your hold over a person's body by devouring the souls of their fallen allies, which is so in step with the tone of this game that I kind of love it as an alternative health system. Better yet, F.E.A.R 3 is arguably the most agile and aggressive entry in the series, adopting a Call of Duty sense of pacing that lends to some mediocre story beats and an opening prologue that even the game itself actively ignores as soon as you get past it. The only important thing to know with the story is that yes, really, somehow, F.E.A.R 2 is still canon, and the expansion packs aren't because they brought Jin back for a glorified cameo.
Saving her won't free you of your ghosts. She's insignificant compared to what is going on around us. Why we've really returned to this God-forsaken place.
Seriously, she just basically points you in whatever direction you need to go in. That's about it. F.E.A.R 2 protagonist Beckett shows up at one point and doesn't really have anything to contribute other than that he's horribly disturbed by that whole mess that was the ending of F.E.A.R 2. And then they kill him off because reasons. Which is all very weird because F.E.A.R 3 seems to be aware that F.E.A.R 2 was a total train wreck, making itself out more like a proper conclusion to the first game, including incorporating a few cut ideas from the original story, like Paxton's true intentions regarding his mother. What will be divisive for some people is just how many gameplay cuts and changes there were. You've got vastly more enemy variety this time around, and it boasts some of the better combat encounters of the post-Perseus Mandate games. But at the same time, a lot of fan-favorite mechanics were dropped. Health kits and armor, upgrading your health and reflexes through exploration, less linear level design, even F.E.A.R 2's 4-weapon system that actually worked really well is absent here. Which isn't to say what's present is bad, but it's definitely a shift. Some aspects, doubtless, are due to the co-op. Both Paxton and Pointman can now revive each other, which is preferable to just having to start over if one player is knocked down, but only highlights why playing solo is less than ideal. Regenerating health means you can get back up in virtually every fight, but you can't just pop a medkit and dive back in immediately. Instead, you're sitting behind cover, waiting. Speaking of which, the cover system is fine. Yes, seriously, it's fine, and it's accompanied by the return of the leaning system that already incentivized cover usage in the first game, so there's nothing really to complain about here. I mean, this has basically always been a thing with the series, it's just more pronounced, so I don't know why people get hung up on this particular aspect. You also see some clever ideas at play. There's a mech assault battle down a highway, an intense showdown in the confines of a suburban backyard, and a creepy set of shootouts across a Costco that's been turned into an occult maze with white noise blaring TV screens and eldritch symbols everywhere. Enemies regularly make full use of their environment, finally paying off on the AI tech F.E.A.R 2 boasted about. It's more linear than F.E.A.R 2 in terms of the actual scale of levels, but once again, they're more finely crafted like the first game, instead of just the open-ended sections of blah that were F.E.A.R 2's levels. Really, this is a fine shooter campaign, it's just got a few issues and a bad story. The only element that personally grates on me is also the element that unfortunately ties to the game's progression systems and endings. In addition to just fighting through levels normally, there are now numerous psychic items players can interact with to collect essence that serves as experience points. Whichever brother in co-op has the most experience by the end is also the one who wins during the final confrontation. Or if you're in single player, it's just a contrived progression system that you have no control over, and you have to play through the campaign once as Pointman and Fiddle to experience both endings. So yeah, I don't advise trying to play this on your own. It's not terrible, but it isn't ideal either. The good news is, it's super easy to play F.E.A.R 3's multiplayer. The console port features decent split-screen functionality for the campaign and, far as I could find online, also support for the other co-op and competitive modes. Meanwhile, if you want to play on PC, it tends to go for dirt cheap, and the online functionality is fine as of this posting. You don't even need a full party of 4 to get the most out of what's on offer beyond the campaign, which is shockingly diverse. You've got Contractions, which starts out as a traditional Horde mode variant inspired by Black Ops' zombies, but then it starts doing things off the usual script. Suddenly Alma shows up and blinds you for looking at her, or teleports you if a bullet strays too close to her. Fog rises around you like out of Silent Hill, obscuring valuable ammo crates from view, while vicious demonic spirits use the cover to attack you without warning, the only hint of their presence being a glowing aura on the ground, and you can't kill them, you can only outrun them. Enemies of all kinds attack you, breaking down barriers and forcing you to move further up and away from the fog so that you can contain them. Except you have to go back into that mess just to get more ammo from those precious crates. Let alone the fact that while you're carrying those crates, all you can do is a melee shove while walking along very slowly, painfully slowly. Topping this off, each map in Contractions and beyond has a unique twist all its own. For Contractions, there's an urban environment with more supplies but also additional flanking points. Another with a mech one player can pilot to support his or her allies, and a third set atop a bunker on a hill that quickly becomes too close for comfort. This is great, and every combat encounter pushes you to be as fast and aggressive as possible because there's no slow-mo outside of campaign, which ratchets up the tension even further in the last co-op mode, F.E.A.R. As the mode is so aptly named, you're forced to charge headlong at enemies and pray you're making bank fast enough because in F.E.A.R, you're chased relentlessly by a wall of enraged souls. If even just one of your teammates falls behind, kiss victory goodbye. Effectively melding traditional co-op shooter level design with a time trial aesthetic, it's easily the toughest challenge F.E.A.R 3 has to offer, and also one of the best. Once again, the maps are all distinctive and offer fresh challenges to shake things up. Let's say though you're too tired of your friends dying in F.E.A.R, or your sibling keeps pushing their luck with friendly fire in the campaign. Well, that's when you go to F.E.A.R 3's competitive options. Of the two, Soul King is the most familiar, effectively free-for-all deathmatch, but with the twist that everyone's already dead. You see, instead of playing as soldiers, you're eldritch demons that can possess one of the many NPCs running around, scoring points by killing the NPCs with the ability to steal other players' points by temporarily banishing their spirits spirit with a healthy dose of bullets. It's fun and frantic, feeling like a goofy Super Mario Kart battle-esque free-for-all, but far outweighed by its fellow mode, Soul Survivor. Soul Survivor is an action slasher movie as a game mode. Up to 4 players enter as F.E.A.R operatives on the map, only for one to suddenly become a demon that has to consume the souls of their former comrades. Better yet, every comrade consumed is also converted into another demon. This means that 3 versus 1 can go both ways, with either a heckling demon harrying your squad as you stay mobile, or one less player desperately standing against relentless waves of NPCs and their former allies. It's just genius and some of the best party gaming fun you could possibly have. What's best of all of this is, if you want to try out the maps to get a feel for them beforehand, that's also totally an option. There's a training mode where you can play by yourself to tinker around. They really thought of everything with this. And that's the brilliance of F.E.A.R 3. It's an average horror FPS if you play it by yourself, but with friends, it's one of the best multiplayer party games in years. It ranks alongside ZombiU in its sheer, absurd dedication to being a great time with friends. All while nobody was asking for such a polished, smartly designed horror multiplayer game. I have to salute Day One Studios for going all out on this, and regret that this was their last game since clearly they were finally hitting a good stride here. The F.E.A.R series is spotted with some really questionable entries, and this is the last one. But if nothing else, F.E.A.R 3 is one hell of a monster mash. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more of them, please be sure to like and subscribe because that actually helps a lot. And if you didn't like it, then please feel free to give a thumbs down. And if you really like this video and would like to help ensure I can do more of these things, then please head down to the description and follow a link to my Patreon where you get special goodies if you chip in and help make this channel a reality. I'm the Unabridged Gamer, signing off.